Hey guys, it's TF Now. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the Jada Toys Cyberpunk Edgerunners Lucy Kushinada. I believe is her last name. I had to look it up earlier. Just reviewed David right before getting to this review here. Really like that figure. Actually got Lucy on Amazon before David because David took longer. But then Amazon lost my first one, sent me another one, and it still has a pretty big dent on the bottom here. So just a quick PSA. I recommend not buying action figures from Amazon anymore. I'm not going to lie. Not only are they a pretty evil company, but they will just straight up destroy your figures sometimes. And yeah, really like David. Really like Edgerunners here. And not going to like kind of simp this character. I'm not going to lie. So let's just go ahead, pretend I didn't say that, and take a look at the packaging. It says Lucy, Jada, ages 15 and up. Pretty nice backdrop, just like David's. And you see the figure in the box with the accessories there. It actually comes with a little bit more than David. I could be wrong about that. You do see where it says Cyberpunk Edgerunners right there. A couple of warnings going on there. Very much as David's packaging, even down to the artwork on the side here. She's really short on this side here. I mean, David was just really tall on the box. You see Lucy's name up there, as well as an image of the character right there. That trigger style artwork made in China, JadaToys.com. On this side, it's just going to say Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It's also going to say it on the top here, and it has a window box. And then the bottom here is going to be some legal stuff with Jada. So if you really want, I don't know if you're going to be able to find these in, like Targets or Walmarts and stuff like that. But here's a barcode just in case you need it. Last but certainly not least, just like with David's packaging, we have the back of the box here, which is pretty much just a poster image of Cyberpunk Edgerunners, this series. So let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. And here's the figure out of the packaging. I can't tell you exactly which figure I like more over the other just yet. I just don't really know yet. But overall, on its own, it's still a really nice figure here. It is a little bit cheaper than David. That is something I should probably mention beforehand. Let's take a look at her accessories, then we'll take a closer look at this figure. First, I want to start off with the alternate head here. This is a little bit more of a, well, it kind of looks like she's smiling, but it's more of an angrier, combative face, definitely. I can't actually tell if she's like angry screaming or having like this wicked smile on her. But I do like how the eyes are printed. You have whatever the designs are for underneath her eyes as well, with like that pinkish reddish color. Her eyebrows are printed nice. I'll talk about this with the actual head sculpt, but just like the actual, head sculpt that it comes packaged with, I should say. You have these highlights of pink here. Then you get down to this very bright type of like violet that almost looks like white, definitely. Back of the neck here has some black sections here that they've painted. A little bit of green here. Green is on this side too, but it's starting to not peel, but like you can see a little bit of that. It's not actually that easy to see, but I did notice some paint was off on that. Not too bad though. It's like muted yellow and then this pinkish color right there. So she has a lot of color going on in her hair, even a white section going on right there. Popping this on is quite simple. Actually, it's a little bit trickier just because it's a little bit of a tighter connection on both of these heads. So I do feel like this head she came packaged with is a little bit easier to deal with, because what I mean is that rotating this, it's a little bit tighter. Unlike how his heads were pretty much the same type of tightness to where they weren't super tight. Yeah, this is not, this is a very good connection, but you're not getting as much friction there. So that's something to keep in mind. When it comes to the weapons, we get two of these pretty long mono wires, and I think that they did a really good job here. Do they bend? Yes, there is an actual bendy wire in the mono wires. So that is really cool to see. And you get two of these there. Pretty long pieces. They are definitely, they're definitely going to be taller than, they're longer than the figure itself. And they're just in this yellow type of plastic coating going on here. And again, you get two of these. So I'm just taking a look at one of these right now. But here's how you port this in here. Because you don't do it in the hands. You actually go, just kind of like David's, you go in the forearms. And I'm pretty sure that you can use either side. So at least I'm fairly certain. So we'll try that one out. Now, hiding it under the jacket, that's easier said than done. This sleeve doesn't really want to cover that too much. I'm sure you can make it work, but it kind of wants to push it out. So let's try the other side really quick. Yeah, they just kind of poured in, I guess, however. So I feel like this opposite side, yeah, this opposite side, it has a particular type of groove there, and then you don't get that in there. So just pay attention, I guess, to when you are inserting these. And this doesn't really want to stay in that well. It is a nice feature. It's kind of like David's piece of skin when you need to replace it for the arm cannon. But, you know, you can make that bend in there. I'll have photos towards the end of trying to properly use this monowire, but the arms, the sleeves are going to be propped up pretty much the whole time. So when it comes to the hands, what you're getting is actually more than David when it comes to hands, which is why I think she comes with more. And she's also cheaper, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, we do have 2 of these gun-holding hands. They could probably be multi-purpose hands, but they're definitely meant for holding the gun that she comes with. And then the inside of the palms here look really nice with that monowire port detailing in the hands, which is really, really sick. There's not much else going on here. It's just a skin tone here. And then you do have a cigarette holding hand, which that's a pretty nice touch. He smokes a lot. And then you do have this fist here for, I think in the game, you make a fist when you're activating the monowire. So they have it with her as well. So you could do monowire poses properly with her. Use maybe these hands for grabbing a monowire or getting it posed up. And then just a little bit of white and red paint on there. This is rather stiff, but I'm sure you can break it if you push it too far. So just be careful with that. Double checking that every pair of hands goes in and out at the hinge, whereas these go up and down there. Last but not least is her Unity pistol, I believe is what the brand is, or the model in the game is called. This is nice. It's just black with some blue paint on there, but this is a pretty cool looking pistol. Fits into this hand rather nicely. In the opposite hand as well. I had to double check. The opposite hand will work just fine. I do think that this is scaled down a little smaller compared to the smart pistol we got with David. Now I will say, this she kind of still holds it. It's going to be loose after her holding that Unity pistol though. But here's a quick image of them swapping their pistols. The McFarlane Toys Cyberpunk weapons that I showed off in the David review, they're not going to work with Lucy. They're just too large. I do think that the pistol she comes with is scaled down compared to how it should be just for her. Kind of wish, I mean, I get it, her hands are smaller. Kind of wish it was still consistent. David kind of works with it, but it's still a little small. Now, I don't know how much of a hot take this is going to be, but I think this here, in terms of anime accuracy, is done a little bit better than David's. I still think it's slightly off, but it does look a lot like how she looked in the show. And I do, again, I talked about the alternate head, but I do feel like the paint actually is a little caked on here, a little thick. It's not too bad though. Again, pink highlight painted here. I have this white section here. Then you get down to this more lavender section that's unpainted. Green, yellow, pink. Lots of colors going on in her hair. We have more of this smile. It's more of a neutral, but definitely a smile expression going on here. Really like how they did her eyes. Right underneath the eyes too, with like this reddish, pinkish detailing. It's really nice. I don't remember if this is actually a Netrunner suit, but her entire bodysuit here is all sculpted. And this is what the soft goods are. Again, I believe by Rebel 10 Customs, or at least prototyped the soft goods here. A little bit of this paint and a red mark right there, and then there's some paint right there. Stitching, it's a little, I mean, it's fine, it's apparent here because the rest of it is actually quite hidden nicely. You just get this jacket here. It seems like it's a little large for her. This is probably going to be actually easier to remove compared to David's jacket because there's a lot going on with David's jacket getting in the way. And I do also want to mention there is a bendy wire on this bottom section here. I'm wanting to say, no, there's not. It does not feel like there's a top section bendy wire. I could be wrong. Yeah, no, it's not. This is definitely a bendy wire when I'm feeling this here. So you take this out here. This gives you an idea more so of what's going on And I gotta show these off because I haven't actually shown off her regular hands that she came packaged with. Her bare arms, I feel like at some point, no, the white shouldn't bleed onto here too much. If she was wearing a black jacket, maybe it would bleed onto here, but should be fine for now. And I do think because they needed to kind of compensate with sculpt work of how the jacket is going to look with everything, I feel like her proportions are a little wonky to where her waist is a little too skinny and then her arms are either a little too long or just a little too muscular. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it looks too bad though. And on the camera, because of the glare, you can't tell it too much, but they do have some shading going on here. You're not getting that much apparent shading compared to David's entire body, how he just had a lot of shading. But there's definitely shading in the shoulders and elbows, and you do also have lots of line work on her bodysuit with nice red as well. I mean, it's like this purple color with this red sections going on here. The front here, you get a better idea. A little bit of gappage around the neck, unfortunately. Still this little symbol right there, looking really nice. Then you get to these hands that are more of these expressive type of hands. And then these, you're not covering these unless you do it yourself with some stuff you may have. It doesn't come with anything like David to where it covers these ports, because I think they're assuming you're going to have the jacket on the whole time. Still doesn't look too bad though. Then you get down to the, I forgot to mention, these are printed on there very nicely. You get down to the waist section. You have this, whatever this attachment is for the belt. The belt looks fine. The black does not bleed onto anything going on here, which is actually quite nice. I actually am quite impressed with how much her shorts actually kind of match the fabric. These are definitely plastic, but I was tricked from promotional images because they didn't look like it. I mean, look, I just got to do it the way that I'm going to do it right now and just talk about it. The butt cheeks are getting, chopped up when it comes to how that looks consistent with the rest of those pants. I mean, her pants are really strange looking, I'm not going to lie, but I mean, in this section here, or this pose, it's fine. And then, the purple painted onto that actually isn't done too bad. They also did a good job, and again, I just gotta talk about it. We have texturing all around here, and it's on the front too, and then it's more of a smooth detailing with her bodysuit that goes over that. And they did a good job making that consistent, where this is smooth, and the rest of that has that detailing. Now that I'm done talking about an action figure's butt for too long, I apologize. The exposed skin sections actually match up here. This is definitely a softer plastic piece, kind of like what McFarlane Toys does. But this is painted on here. This seems like it's a little bit more molded. And then this is a softer type of plastic. Everything almost matches quite well, but you do kind of tell that this is painted on here because it looks a little bit muted because of the darker purple, like muted purple, that is sculpted here. Speaking of which, you get all the way down to these boots here. Nice line work all the way down here. And then the knee sections, there's some black there. The way they separated all the detailing here, like there is no splotching that I've noticed. Maybe a few minor things. David had a pretty bad splotch on his boots, but I don't really notice anything right now. Like the red looks good on the black there. They have a little bit of a glossier texture on the black. Well, these leggings are also rather glossy too. And then you get down to the red that's painted onto the black. The black is bleeding through a little bit, but not too bad. A little bit of some red lines going on to the top of the feet. A little bit on the heel of the boot too. Nothing really on the bottom there. Yeah, so this thing looks really nice. It has minimal soft goods. Doesn't really need it. I do think it would have been difficult to do these as soft goods and make things function properly. David really benefits from mostly the jacket and the pants being soft goods. Her, really, she just needed this. And I do apologize that a little over half the video was done without this, but I'll put it back on in a second. We do have similar types of articulation to David, but I haven't tested out if the range of motion is better here. So her head and neck system here and there, because that dumbbell joint goes up that far, I feel like it's going to pop out here, so I'm trying to be careful. I feel like David has some better head articulation. Side to side is not too bad. Swiveling is not bad here. I think you can maybe grab the neck and make it swivel a little bit, but not much, all that type of motion there. Her shoulders do look a little too ball joint-esque, and there is also not a butterfly swivel. Kind of would have been perfect to add it here, but it does go all the way around. Actually, it can be done rather well with the jacket even hindering it a little bit, you know. So that goes all the way up like that too. Upper arm swivel. You got to see what the bare arms look. So you have an idea of that there is double jointed elbows, and actually that bends quite well even with the soft goods on there. Swivels here and in and out. And I talked about how every pair of hands besides the gun holding hands goes in and out. Those hands I talked about with the guns go up and down. So we have ball joint here, ball joint here. Actually really nice range of motion forward and back. Like that. Back could be a little better. Side to side. And the swiveling here is much better in both areas compared to David. This here does cause some problems. Also, her T-joint legs seem like they're a little bit stiff at the ball section. So this is as far forward as it wants to go. I mean, yeah, it's not too bad, I guess. It will start creasing up that softer plastic. Going back, I mean, yeah, sure. I think David, I actually don't remember if David's might be worse because of his pants. We do have a thigh swivel here that's nicely cut up there. It actually is very form-fitting because of all that. And then we do have, I forgot to mention, there's really nice wrinkles going on in the shorts there too. Double jointed knees, these are really stiff. I believe she also has pinless tech pretty much all throughout. And then we do have actually a boot swivel here. David's was easier to hide because of his actual boots. They had to put it here, which is fine with me. I don't really know if she really needed it, but that's fine, totally. Down like that, up, could be a little better, but then you do get an ankle rocker. Measuring out this figure, definitely shorter than David. It's going to be around 14 and a half, almost 15 centimeters. That actually puts her at like 5.5, 5 3/4 inches. She's about an inch shorter than the David figure, as you see there, which is kind of why I want to see a pre-jacked up David in this line, hopefully in the future. On the left there, that is a McFarlane Toys Johnny Silverhand. It's going to be out of scale with her. It's going to be much taller. On the left, standard size Black Series. On the right, standard size Marvel Legends. Going to be a little bit taller than her. So just like with David, I'm going to say if you really want to get into Jada Toys, no matter what they're making, or if you really like Edgerunners, or if you really like this character, then I will recommend it. Otherwise, I don't know if I would entirely recommend it. This is a little bit of an easier pill to swallow because it's around 30 to 35 bucks on the price point, and you get a decent amount of stuff for that price. First of all, the actual figure here, while I don't think her detailing and shading is as good as David's, I think it's a little bit more anime accurate in terms of her actual art design going on here translated into figure form. I really like how they did the soft goods here. I don't think it's as good as David's, but it's still quite nice. I like pretty much every accessory here. I think that the gun is a little bit too scaled down, but the amount of hands she gets, the mono wires, even though the forearms do kind of stick out a little bit when you put the mono wires in. And then the alternate head is also really nice. All of those accessories are really good. Articulation is also quite good on this figure, and I have very minimal issues with paint, and the overall sculpt here, it just looks really nice. Really digging both of these figures. I'm really excited to see what else Jada Toys makes. I've already said it. We're getting the Invincible stuff from them. I don't know if it's going to be actual action figures or just other stuff in their license. But if they make Invincible figures, if they make other types of Cyberpunk figures, I'm totally down. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on Jada Toys from here on out. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.